I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Daily English Show. Today's guest is Woosuk. He's from Seoul in South Korea. He came to Japan in October and he studied at a language school in Tokyo for 3 months. And then he arrived in Hokkaido in January and he stayed here in Niseko for the season. I asked him how long he'd been studying Japanese in Korea before he came here.
I had studied Japanese for 2 months.
Ah.
From last summer.
Mm.
Yeah. So from last summer I decided to study Japanese. So that's why I went to Tokyo, and then that's why I'm staying in Hokkaido. So I can enjoy snowboarding and then I can study Japanese.
Kia ora, in Stick News today, a study by a psychologist in England says that doodling helps you pay attention. Time magazine reported 40 participants were involved in a study on doodling by a psychologist from a university in southern England. The participants were split into 2 groups. Everyone was asked to listen to a tape and write down the names of the people mentioned in the recording. Half the group were asked to shade in some little squares and circles on a piece of paper while they listened. When the recording finished, the paper was removed and everyone was asked to orally recall the names mentioned. The doodlers recalled 29% more information than the non-doodlers. Apparently, doodling helps memory because it forces your brain to expend just enough energy to stop it from daydreaming, but not so much that you don't pay attention. And that was Stick News for Monday, the 9th of March. Kia ora. Did you learn a lot studying at the language school in Tokyo? How did you learn English? What part of Canada were you in? Did working in Canada help to improve your English? What do you think is a good way to study English? In Japan, do people usually think you're Japanese? What are your plans for the future? What are you studying? Why did you choose that?
Yeah, I think so, because there was nothing to do but studying. So I studied all day, and then there were a lot of homework, so it pushed me to study hard. So yeah, it worked very well. I went to Canada. So, and I had a working holiday visa, so I went to Canada, and I went to school and I worked in Canadian company or some restaurants, so I could learn the English there. The first time when I went to Canada, I went to Vancouver, and then I stayed there for 3 months. Then I went to language school. After that, I moved to the Calgary, is the middle of Canada. I went there, and then I worked for one small hotel. And then after I stayed there for 5 months, and then I moved to Whistler, and then I stayed there for 8 months, maybe about 8 months, and I worked there at night in a restaurant, and then I went mountain at daytime. Yeah, cause I was the only Asian there, cause I worked in the kitchen, so everybody was the Canadian, so I had to speak English every single time, so yeah, it helped me a lot. Actually, I think the studying English in the school is it's kind of boring. So, and then I think the language is we can't learn language just in the school, cause in the language there are cultures and their like lifestyle, that there are many things inside the language. So I think if somebody wants to learn some languages, I think they should go to their country. I mean the other countries. I had studied English for about 10 years from the middle school, but when I met the foreign people in Seoul, my country, Korea, I couldn't say anything in front of them. So that's why I decided to go abroad and try to learning English in other countries. So yeah, and it really worked well. Yeah. Many people asked me in Japanese, and then when I couldn't understand, and they kind of surprised, and then they tried to speak in English in Niseko. Because many of my Japanese friends said I look like a Japanese, because we don't have this kind of the long hair, and then like Korean people don't wear this kind of hoodie, and like it's not usual in Korea. So many people think I'm Japanese, but I'm Korean. It's very hard to explain because I'm still a student in university, and then I'm senior, and I have just one more semester. So actually from next week I need to go back to school, and then I need to finish my last semester, and then from the summer I need to find a job. But now is the Korean's economy is very dangerous. So I heard there are just a few jobs for job seekers. So I can't say anything. I may work for some company this year, or I may come back here and then shred one more season. Who knows? My major is the Korean linguistics, and Korean linguistics and literature. The grammar thing is very hard to study in Korea, but it's because I have studied the difficult grammars for 5 years, so 4 years. So it helps me a lot when I study Japanese. When I was in high school, I hated math, I hated English, and I hated like arts, music, but it was the Korean linguistics, where it was the only subject what I liked. So there was no choice.
True or false? Woosuk studied at a language school in Calgary in Canada. False. He had to speak English in the kitchen where he worked. True. In Japan, people often think he's Japanese. True. He's planning to study at university for 1 more year. False. He loved studying maths and music at high school. False. And that was the Daily Englisher. See you tomorrow. Bye.
시험난이 심각해서 영어를 배우시는 분들이 많을 것이라고 생각이 됩니다. 하지만 교실에만 갇혀서 학원에만 다니면서 영어를 그렇게 재미없게 배우지 마시고 저처럼 이 나라 저 나라 다니면서 친구들도 많이 만들면서 그렇게 영어를 배운다면 훨씬 효과적이고 훨씬 재밌게 배울 수 있을 것이라고 생각합니다. 그러니까 너무 안에만 갇혀있지 마시고요. 나와서 즐겁게 살면서 즐겁게 영어 공부하시고 모두 힘내세요.